Now, yesterday was Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to every father out there. Do wonderful work, making all of us safe, making us happy, taking care of everything in this economy. We really appreciate all the fathers out there. And that's the reason why we figured this morning, let's talk about men and men's mental health. It's a crisis that we are pretending doesn't exist, but it is there. We're dealing with an economy that is tightening. It is harder to survive. And a lot of the men that we have in this country are providers. Forget the things you see on social media. A lot of men are providing for their families. But that ability to provide is being hampered. And that in many ways affects their mental health. So let's talk about it. And we have Mr. Noel Ifeanyi Alumona, who's the founder and CEO of Boys Champions. Thanks again.
Thank you, Carla,
for being with us on the program.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about Boys Champions first of all. What do you do?
I founded Boys Champions in 2018 to engage both boys and men in our quest for achieving a more just and sustainable world. And we also founded Boys Champions to create a platform and a safe space for boys and men to, have an opportunity to express themselves, be more vulnerable, and even, become better leaders in families and within their communities. So that's what we do at Boys Champions.
So it's a mentorship thing?
Yeah, so there are different components to our programming. Mentorship is one of those, and being able to provide these young men who are growing up access to older people who have become, older men who have become incredible in different spheres through mentorship. That's one of them. We're also utilizing sports as an entry point in our programming because we want to be able to engage these boys through the same thing that they're used to through sport. So mentorship is one of them, sports is also one of them. But more importantly, our programs are structured within the school system and within communities as well.
It's a very important conversation because of what our children, what our young men and women are looking at every day. Social media just terrifies me. Absolutely terrifying.
I agree.
And you would think that is reality. It is not. But what's happened is that the reality of our country is not being put out there. What we're seeing are the incidents of I don't even know how to describe these situations we see online. But that's what a lot of people, a lot of young men are looking at. And in many ways you see that forming the personalities that they now carry into everyday life. How can that be checked?
So that's a very interesting part of the conversation today. And two things that you mentioned on the reported data, especially of the experiences that our boys and men face every day. And the second part of what you also mentioned is what they're exposed every single day through the media. We're seeing a high rising of, manosphere on the media. We're also seeing even our own Nollywood, with some of the things that they show on, different teams. And we're seeing how these things are affecting our boys every day. A lot of young men these days think that the easiest way to make money is to engage in certain, kind of stuff because of what they have seen Nollywood over the years, show on the media. So one of the things that we have continued to do through Boys Champions is, of course, through the mentorship program, for instance, we provide these boys with access to role models who they should look up to, because a lot of the times they look up to the people they see on the media.
That's how this manosphere thing became a thing in Nigeria. It's such a strange culture. It's not who we are.
It's very disheartening, right? So we're providing them access to, the people that could help them redefine their masculinity, because we believe at Boys Champions that who they see is eventually who they become, right? So if I continue to see people like, say, Tony Elumelu every single time talk to me about what it means to be an entrepreneur, I probably told that line. If I see other people who are doing other horrible things within the society, I probably told that line as well. So being able to provide them access to these role models helps them also to reshape how they view life, how they view the internet. But additionally, I think we as parents also have a huge impact, a huge part to play in that, because sometimes we expose our kids, our children, to social media earlier than they should. without even monitoring what happens with their phone, with their cell phones. I was outside a couple of days ago and I saw a little boy of about 7 struggling with the mother to have his phone, not the mother's phone.
It's probably having meltdowns.
So and all of these things are really, impacting the child's mind development and different other things. So, and eventually they get to show up. I am a researcher. Right now I'm completing my PhD and my research is focused on adverse childhood experiences and how that impacts, men and how they show up later on in life, And we've seen that some of the experiences that these boys had while they were growing up are the experiences that actually eventually become, more problematic when they become adults, and grown-ups.
Before my colleague in Lagos gets in on this conversation, let's talk about the economic part of things.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the side that worries me. Sometimes, you know how you're entering into if you live in an estate, you take a look at the meters, the electric meters, and then you see like a lot of them are in red. And you're wondering, the person in that house, and most people that live, they're married with their families, and you're wondering how are they coping with this economy? When I buy fuel, I'm thinking, my goodness, this other person, how is he handling that? With the cost of food, if you go to the market now, you see a lot of men in the markets now. And it's either they can't believe what their wives are telling them or they want to do it themselves. It's a crazy time that we're in. And that in many ways affects the mental health of men. How can that be helped? What can be done for our men right now?
I like to talk about partnership a lot in family settings.
Oh, yeah.
And let's not forget that there are different dynamics to different families, right? But I like to talk about, the importance of partnership, especially for spouses and married people. I think we have really boxed our men into just that provider role that you talked about earlier when we started. We've boxed a lot of our men into that. And I do think that if we're saying we're married, we should also be partners in some of these things to see how we can reduce some of the pressures for partners. So no man should be left alone to carry some of this. I also know, remember I talked about different dynamics. There are a lot of women who are also even providers in their home. But a lot of men that I know who are working hard every day are doing that because they are the sole providers at home, and they don't have, probably measurable or contributory, partnership from their partners and all that. So I think that is one of those areas. We also need, as a community, really need to give our men safe spaces, because these economic pressures will always be there.
So they need a place to express it.
Exactly.
Well, let me get my colleague to, because I think he wants to ask you a question in that direction. Go ahead, Ayo.
Well, thank you, Kayla. Well, first of all, quick information that there's some news coming in from the UK, but we'll bring you the details in a moment. One of the things that I think, sir, that a number of people need to understand is the hidden pressures that men have to go through that may not be understood. And I'd like you to speak to some of them. There have been people, even women, who expect men to talk more, and they don't for whatever reason. You may want to also help us get an understanding of that. So generally, what are the things that put men's mental health in jeopardy? It's the month we understand that men's health should be given more awareness and optics. So for you, what are those issues that men contend with that need to be understood, and maybe then men can be cut some slack?
Okay. Thank you, Ayo. And Ayo, you and I know that over the years as men, we have been, structured in such a way by societal expectations to behave in a certain type of way. One of those ways is what some of us grew up hearing, don't cry, men don't cry, men do not express their emotions openly. I myself, I didn't see my dad before he passed. I did not see my dad, cry. Maybe like once all through the times that he spent before he passed. And Ayo, you are older than me, so you can count the number of times that you openly and vulnerably expressed yourself. And it is because of the way we all were brought up. We're brought up to be macho, be strong, and that's how the society and the community still see us. So back to the second part of what you asked about how we also, I think people in our lives need to start seeing us as humans. And first of all, they need to see us as humans. And humans do cry. Humans express their vulnerability, express their emotions. And when we come to that realization, which is what this moment, this month of June offers us, it's a month where we talk about the awareness and break the silence that actually, and some of the experiences that push men into silence. So this month is a month that is supposed to help everybody to really get to understand that it is important for us to, give our men and boys the opportunity to express themselves openly and more vulnerable, and in an environment that is devoid of judgment. Because I think that is one of those things that also pushes us to become silent. If I know that expressing myself in my family or at home before my partner would actually receive emotional support and connection, I think I would feel more comfortable to do that another time. But if I know that my partner could use that against me subsequently, I think I would not want to do that. And I think that's one of the silent things that a lot of men actually continue to struggle with every single time.
Well, first of all, I can neither confirm nor deny that I'm older than you are. So we need evidence. But maybe we need to check IREV for that one. But then there is also a need, perhaps, for men to have what they call safe spaces. A load of people. I'm sure that if we look at some stats now, we'll see some things, some unfortunate and unhelpful things that are peculiar to men. It's not the way we want it to go, but then it's just the way it is. So in creating a safe space, what would you recommend that men should do by themselves so that they can have some, should I say, some form of release? Because the backlog is always there. So what kind of safe spaces, if I can put it that way, whether with someone or by themselves, would you recommend that men should consider for their own mental health? Perhaps the flip side to that is whether or not even men themselves, a good number of men across all social strata, are aware that their mental health is in jeopardy.
Right. So, most of us are not aware because we've been socialized that way for a long time. But I think it is for us as men to really prioritize ourselves going forward. And I think that is really very critical. I wanted to mention that. It is high time that we started as men to, stand up for ourselves and really tell ourselves that this is really very critical and important. And that's why the work that I do at Boys Champions is really very critical and important. So Boys Champions has created a structured program that supports both young boys and older men. For instance, we have what we call our Dear Men Fellowship, which actually offers young men between the ages of 18 and 65 an opportunity to come together within a space, in partnership with therapists, psychologists, and different other professionals to offer, structured programming and safe spaces for men to release and also express themselves in spaces where they would receive support, but also not be judged as well. So I think it is time for men to, create such spaces for themselves. And even for days like the Father's Day yesterday, we didn't hear a lot of noise about that. Because even men did not celebrate themselves as such. We know how for International Women's Day, women are creating those platforms for themselves to talk about their experiences and celebrate themselves. I think men need to actually be the ones driving this, and we don't need to wait for anybody. So that's what I wanted to talk about, Ayo.
Okay, well, we do have that breaking story for you, and I think it's scrolling on our screens right now, coming in from the UK. UK's Keir Starmer reportedly set to quit as Labour rival will be sworn in as MP. That is scrolling on your screens right now. So Keir Starmer has resigned as the UK Prime Minister. And of course, we'll be giving you those details in the course of the day. What's expected? We've been talking about this for a few days. Embattled UK Prime Minister. So we'll see what happens in the next few hours. But stay with us, and we'll be giving those details in a bit. So back to our conversation, Mr. Noel. So listening to you talk about positive spaces and where men can express themselves and you know, the stress of the provider role, that's not going away. Are we changing the dynamic of the family where we now, I know that yes, it's a partnership, but there's an Olga in the house, at least for Christians. Your husband is your Lord. So, you know, that bit of the job, in many families we're seeing right now, because of the stress and because of the, you know, the economy weighing on men's mental health. You see a lot of men abandoning that role, and they call it prioritizing themselves. Oh no, I have to bring something to the table. We have to be able, you know. Is that where should we accept that is the future of our families, where we don't have like our fathers, the sole provider, and then we keep the homestead while are we saying that we're leaving that and moving on to a different life now, where we are both trying to you know, tend this family together?
I think the very essence of marriage is about like complementing one another, and we coming together and pulling our resources, and it could be spiritual resources, it could be material resources, by the way, and being able to ensure that we are moving the family that we're creating and building forward. I think that should be the very essence of whatever, you know, marital partnership that we want to you know, get started. And I think where the issue is coming from is where we see men as like the sole provider. So whether the man does not have the capacity to do that, or whether you as the woman, you have, you know, better resources, more resources than the man, you wouldn't be able to, you know, support as a result of. So I think that's where the issue, and that's why you're seeing a lot of men, you know, running away from that, because I mean, it's just so much pressure that so many men can take.
Maybe
take up.
As we're wrapping up, the dynamics, and I like that we're being realistic with our situation, especially in the family. The truth in many families in Nigeria is that it is the woman who is providing now. You're the submissive, but you're also the provider. It's a strange dynamic that we're dealing with. And many people I don't think people want to talk about it. We're not ready to have that conversation where a submissive is also the provider, and then you have a guy in the house who doesn't do anything, or is not bringing any money for now. Maybe it's a season, it's probably going through something, or the economy has hit him, or he got laid off, or whatever it is that is going on. But that dynamic it's at the core of a lot of the issues that we're seeing in marriage, and a lot of the mental health problems that our men are facing. How should men how can we help men handle that situation where they are not the main provider in the home right now? The woman is doing much better. And, you know, how do they manage that dynamic? Is that something that boys champions talk about? Yeah,
so we talk about that a lot. And again, I always like to talk about the different dynamics in homes, because what is in your home is different from what is in mine. And we don't have like one size, you know, one
fits all.
Exactly. So we don't have that type of solution. So you need to really understand your own dynamics. What happens within your family? What is the issue? And you need to find an opportunity to even like debrief with, you know, other people who probably, we all should have people that we talk to, you know, we talk through some of these experiences with. And that's what I think a lot of men do not have, and that's what we continue to preach. There are people, you should be able to be in an environment, a positive environment, where you can express some of these experiences and get positive, you know, advice that could help better your situation within your home. But I do also think that, you know, even women, we need to also come to that understanding that our men need more support and more connection within the home, right?
I mean, it's a tough one. And maybe we need more groups like yours who are looking at men and how they can handle the burden that is placed on them right now. But we do have to thank you, Noel Ifeanyi Alumona, founder and CEO of Boys Champions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kayla, for having me.
All right.